everybody. Welcome to another episode of My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
I actually have a dog on my lap today because we've come to realize that apparently I can't record at my house without my dog being in here with me. Apparently,
your dog has anxiety. Yeah,
oh
she's got real separation anxiety.
Very, very bad separation anxiety. I feel like we should get a picture of this of scaredy cat Rose.
Aww.
Look at this. I'm a nervous Nelly.
Yeah, she's new too. That's the thing, is that she hasn't, you just got her a few months ago.
Yeah.
So she's still, I think when you get a dog from the shelter, it just takes some, at least 6 months to adjust.
Definitely. And she has truly adjusted a lot. I mean, you probably see it even yourself being here, like the difference between how she was the first time you met her, which was she would not let you near her.
Right.
At all. When she just came up now and licked your hand. So, I mean, like, that's a huge stride.
Yeah, it's nice to have a buddy. But yeah, we're recording a little bit differently because Keegan's out of town. So we just see her on the computer screen far away.
I know. It's so sad. Honestly, I miss you guys so much and I'm here for so long. So we have a few weeks of this. So if it sounds a little bit different, that's why. I'm recording separately in a different place, but my spirit and my heart is with both of you.
Aw.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to talk about this week.
First of all, can I just say we're on TikTok now?
Oh my God. So fun.
We are on TikTok now, My Worst Date Podcast. It has been so much fun. It's just kind of silly. And I like that we're just not taking ourselves too seriously on there. So if you want to, come hang out with us on there, please do. We have a good time.
What I like so far is that because we've been separate, we've been doing our own TikToks. So it really does feel like our TikToks are our personalities.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's something on there for everybody. Really.
It's so true. It's been fun. It's been more fun than I expected it to be.
It has been fun. And I want to take this opportunity as well because we all have been telling kind of like our highlights of bad date stories that we've told on the podcast before. I want to know what our long-term OG listeners think are our best worst date stories. Please reach out and let us know because I feel like we have heard and talked about so many bad dates at this point that I can't even remember some of the absolute bangers we have told. You'd think you would never forget some of these, but like it's when you hear them so often. You told the
one that lives 100% rent free in my brain. I think about it all the time.
Yeah,
it's
where
the
are
toilet
they
paper
now?
one.
Yeah.
I just all the time think about that story.
Yeah. So if you want to, you need a refresher on that, you can go find it on our TikTok because that one really seemed to resonate with people.
Shit's wild.
Yeah,
it is wild. I told one of our listener stories, which is the karate story. Oh, that story again.
So good. Yeah, I'm excited. I've got a few other ideas. I'm kind of the one that is just doing whatever wacky idea comes into my brain, like in the middle of the night. I'm also having a lot of fun with stickers.
Oh yeah. Oh, good times.
It's monotonous and tedious, but yeah, whenever you can do like a flying taco in a TikTok, I'm happy about that. So, yes, come join us. But no, the other thing that I wanted to touch base on is the absolute wildness that is the Ultimatum on Netflix.
Yeah, speaking of watching things, I actually just finished and watched the reunion of the Ultimatum. Yes, last night.
Okay. I have not watched any of this, so I need you to tell me, what is this show even about?
All right. So they bring on like a certain number of couples and it's fucking weird, right? So the thing is, it's like, and you get like the story from the hosts.
Yeah, it's the Lachey. It have another Lachey joint going on.
That's right.
So you know it's going to be.
Get that money, boo. Get that money,
Hey,
boo. I feel like Nick Lachey has just been at it. Like any little thing. Both of the Lachays.
Mm-hmm. Secure the bag.
Get it.
Definitely.
I'm not mad at them. Do it, girl. Vanessa and Nick like share their story of the ultimatum, which is like, you know, they were dating through a really hard time, right? Because Nick was getting divorced from Jessica. That was a very public thing. They knew they wanted to be together, but then at the same time, it kind of was like awkward timing, and there was an ultimatum laid out. And eventually they did end up back together, and which was perfect for them. And it ended up being a really good thing for them to kind of take that moment of separation and just be like, we're either going to do this thing or we're not going to do this thing. And so the idea was that the ultimatum was kind of like a breakup, right? Where they would separate for a period of time and then come back, reunite, and see if it was meant to be or not reunite, right? So I know, listen, Keegan is giving serious face with that Miller Lite in her hand.
First of all, how dare you call me out like that on this podcast? That was between us. Okay? So I am at our editor Thomas's house, and just like, since he's going to be editing this episode, just spoiler alert, I took one of your Miller Lights out of the fridge and I am drinking it right now as we record. But yes,
this is amazing.
This sounds so sus. Like I'm I don't know about.
First of all, you have beautiful people in their early 20s, like 23.
Why are they always
5,
in their early 20s? Why are they always like 21 years old? Like,
and they're like,
idea.
We're going to get married or else.
Issuing, what are you talking about?
Like, make that we've been dating for a year, put a ring on it or else. I'm sorry, what do you think's going to happen? And then they come here and they get to they choose another person to live with for 3 weeks from another one of the couples.
It's so fucking weird. And like, you're gonna
what?
And that's the test to see if you can live with some random person that you didn't even choose, really?
That is what we've gone too far. Like, in terms of reality TV, we have gone too far. We've done too much. Enough. Like, that is
mess.
So that doesn't even make sense as a concept. Like, I don't get it.
Well, yeah, right off the bat, like two guys propose to the girls because God forbid, like they need to own that woman. She can't live on her own with another guy for 3 weeks. So right off the bat, it works for two couples. Apparently,
yeah. They immediately
propose. Okay, but they're gonna either not get married or they're gonna get married and then they're gonna get divorced super quickly, because that is not the way that you want to start a marriage. Like
the one couple I think was ready. I do.
Yeah.
But the other couple, that guy was like, I can't be putting her with anybody else because I'm definitely going to lose her to somebody better than me.
And that's a terrible fucking reason to get married. And also, like, the idea that it just promotes this scarcity mindset in dating, and the fact that, like, the only reason to date is to get married. And it's like, I think of all the relationships I've had in my life that weren't about marriage or kids, but were just about that moment or whatever. If it lasted 2 months, it's not a waste of time because it didn't end in marriage. Like, I got something out of it. Very important. So I just think that the things that it's promoting or the message of it is deeply flawed. And the fact, again, that these motherfuckers are like beautiful and 23. I'm like, sis, what you doing? Like, what's going on here?
I mean, at this point in my life, I feel like when I was in my early 20s and my friends were starting to get married, I was like, yeah, okay, like, we're in our 20s now. That's like what you do in your 20s. Now at 32, when I hear of someone who is getting married and they're 23, I'm like, baby, you know,
honey,
like,
angel, like, don't do it.
Little baby, you know, And I understand there are some people who are totally ready to get married at that age. It's right for them. It's going to work out well for them. But in general, I think that all of these reality TV shows promote this idea that that's the expectation, is that you should be married or engaged by the time you're 25. Yeah. And at that point, you're starting to like age out. Like, I remember watching The Bachelor, and there was someone on The Bachelor who was 30, and the number of like ageist jokes about her being like the old lady in the house,
God, 30.
It's just wild to me. Like, just absolutely, like, you're 23 and hot. You can go out and date anyone. You don't need to be on a TV
show. On the show.
Right.
Like, you don't need the show. That's the thing, too. It's like the one couple, like, it just, I do think there was something about this show that was good for these people to get out of their bubble of like, oh, this is how you should be treated. And I think they got to see and experience maybe like a fresh new relationship, and that maybe they weren't always being treated the way they should be within a relationship.
Yeah,
so the ones that kind of fell apart was like, yeah, you probably were ready to get out of that relationship anyway, which is probably why you did the ultimatum. But then when you saw that like people could actually treat you good,
yeah,
it was like, done, honey, it's done for you. The other show that I watched, I have to tell you guys this. I watched one episode, which was Married at First Sight, Unmatchable.
Oh, explain. Because I've seen Married at First Sight. Please explain what this is. These are the people who the matchmakers couldn't match up with anyone?
That's right. They were like, honey, we can't marry you at first sight to anybody because you're not ready to date at first sight.
Then why are you on a show? Like, what?
Honey, the one girl.
Unmatchable? Why are they unmatchable?
Okay, so the first one was a girl who lived with her roommate. They had been roommates for 11 years. She hadn't been intimate with a man since like high school, pretty much, like for a really, really long time, which is fine. Like, listen, save yourself, do your thing, whatever feels right for you. I mean, you don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with. She wasn't. She's not even kissed a man for 11 years. She didn't know how to kiss. They gave her a goddamn, what's the thing? The
fleshlight?
A fleshlight because it has a mouth on it for her to practice kissing. Did she take that to a blind date? Yes, she did. Yeah.
She didn't.
Spoiler alert. She takes it to the first date with the other guy who's undateable, who are unmatchable, because he is like, ooh, what are you wearing? Like, he like smells like he's very scent motivated. It's very bizarre. But he's also like, oh, you have to be perfect. I'm looking for a dime who's top of the line.
Is he a dime?
No.
Of course not.
No, they never are.
Of course not.
No, they never are. And it's just...
That sounds bonkers.
To me, and again, like, you do you, whatever. Like, whatever works for any person works for them. I'm not here to judge, although I am judging a little bit from over here. But like, yeah, if you haven't kissed somebody in over a decade, you want your first kiss in over a decade to be with a stranger as you're reciting your wedding vows. That's what you want. You went on
case. I don't think she wants to, she does kiss a guy on the show. So
right, but she had gone on the show initially, right, and was rejected as unmatchable. So she wanted to be on Married at First Sight.
Oh, that's okay.
So it's like you haven't kissed someone in over a decade, and you want your first time. You're like, I'm going to go on this show, get matched, and have my first kiss be our marriage kiss in front of everyone. And I don't know this person. Like, I don't know. That's
a good point.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The roommate thing kind of triggers me too. In the fact, do you remember that guy that I was dating that was living with his girl roommate? And I was like, are you guys actually dating though?
Oh my, but this is two female roommates.
Oh, okay. Where I was like, I feel like I'm getting, when you see like a stranger's likes on your pictures and stuff, I'm like, are you actually dating your roommate though? Because it kind of seems like it, but yeah,
that situation was sus. I remember that situation, that guy that you were seeing, because like they were really close. Like, I believe, we've had this conversation many, many times, like whether or not men and women can be friends. And I think that they can be, but like that situation was very weird. They were like living together and it was a very close.
Yeah.
Because you have roommates where it's like you're like ships in the night and you barely speak and you spend most of your time in your bedroom. And then you have roommates where like you're hanging out all the time and you're like watching
you're going on
movies
vacations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have to also bring up the other show because I literally just spent yesterday trying to find something to watch because I was like, so this one is the Christina and You one. It's the Sense and Sensibility show.
You watched that? Oh, I need a review on this immediately. First of all, what's it called?
I can't even remember the challenge or the something or other. I don't remember. It started with a C. It's on. I literally watched it for 5 minutes and turned that
but
bitch
this
off.
is not your shit though,
stupid.
Cassie. This is not your shit. Like, I feel like it might be different if me and Christina try to watch it because we love this shit.
Do I think this could be a really good show? Yes. There's only one woman though and a bunch of guys. I felt like it needed to be kind of like a
mix,
right? Like you needed more girls and guys so that they could all intermingle. Like to me, that would have been a better way to do the show.
So it's like a bachelorette in Regency costume.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Regency Bachelorette.
It is Regency Bachelorette. You nailed it. Yeah, it's just... I couldn't. I was like, maybe that's because I had it so stuck in my head that that's how it was going to be, is that it was going to be a grouping of women and men, and they were going to find their match within the setting, which I thought would be very romantic and very cool. And I was super into it. It was not. And I was like, maybe that's why, but I just was like, yeah, this isn't what not into it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'll have to check it out. I have to give it give it a look because that is kind of my bread and butter. But I agree with you. I think it would be cool if it was like a mix of people you could see. And yeah, I'd be interested to see what the challenges and stuff are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we also need to talk about the fact that it is going to be 420 when this episode releases for all of our stoner listeners.
Yeah, happy 420 to you.
Yes.
Hope you're having a wonderful day. You know, I myself do not celebrate, but I appreciate those who do. Just because I think we've talked about this before, but like I cannot smoke weed because my anxiety skyrockets. And then I also, my ex-boyfriend was such a stoner. Like such a stoner to the point of like never getting anything done ever. It was just I'm going to smoke weed and play video games 24/7, you know? And so I'm like, meh. But at the same time, I know that weed helps a lot of people like manage their anxiety and they just enjoy it. So more power to you.
Yeah, I actually have set up camp in the cannabis camp, and I'm loving it.
Good for you.
Taken me a long time. I still can't really smoke it. But these little like tinctures that I have that have a little bit of CBD or THC in them are doing a lot to manage my anxiety. So I'm a fan. And I think we should FMK movie stoners in honor of the holiday.
Well, I just found a Rolling Stone article that has the top stoners of all time. So just in case you're looking for somebody.
Okay. Yeah, give us some options.
Got some goodies in here. We got Jeff Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yep. You got Slater from Dazed and Confused, which I was absolutely in love with.
Who plays him in that movie?
What's that?
Who is that in that movie? Who plays him?
Oh, I'll have to look that up. Who?
Yeah, because it's been so long since I've seen that movie. But you can keep going. Sorry. I don't want to interrupt you. Oh, okay. Rory Cochrane. All right. Okay. I don't know him, but I know who it is now that I see him. Okay, great.
You got Floyd from True Romance.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, right?
Brad Pitt. Oh, yeah. Brad Pitt's character in that. Yeah.
Smokey from Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Melanie Ralston from Jackie Brown. The Dude from The Big Lebowski. You got Thorogood, Brian, and Scarface from Half Baked. I mean, there's some decent characters in here.
Oh, yeah. Half Baked. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I love that movie. What's his face? I always feel bad for that guy. Because his face, he looks stoned all the time.
All the time.
Do you know who I'm talking about? What's that actor's name?
I know. He's a comedian. I know exactly who you're talking about. And he does. He looks stoned all the time. It's just his face. I don't think he can really help it.
Right.
But he's made a career out of it, so good for him,
Oh, Jim Brewer. You know what? I'm going to pick him.
Dude, you can't. He's such a QAnon dude.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Like IRL.
Stop.
IRL. Mm-hmm.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
No. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God. The more you
Major
know.
QAnon dude now.
But okay, but if you're talking about like real people or even characters, I mean, you've got fucking Seth Rogen has played a stoner in like so many things.
Tommy Chong.
Of course.
Tommy Chong, of course.
Kumar.
Yeah.
The OG.
Oh my God, Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many to choose from.
So many. Okay. Oh gosh, I thought I was gonna go with the dude from Big Lebowski, but now that you've said Kumar from Harold and Kumar, I feel like I gotta go with that. I love
That's
Cal
a strong
Penn.
choice.
Yeah.
I just love him. And I think he's like so hot too. So
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's got to be Seth Rogen. We've got to put him in. So that's
Strong.
2.
Well, then I'm going to do my high school love, then Ron Slater from Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. Yeah. He was
Okay, so
also
if we're doing-
he was also in Empire Records. He was great in that too.
I mean,
yeah,
the biggest
he's cute.
crush.
He's cute.
The biggest crush.
Okay, but if we're doing Seth Rogen, are we doing like Seth Rogen in Superbad stoner?
Let's do him in Pineapple Express.
Or
Okay.
Pineapple Express. I said
Okay.
Superbad. I totally meant Knocked Up. He's not in Superbad.
Oh.
Okay, so we're doing Pineapple Express, Seth Rogen, Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, Kumar, and Slater from Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Damn. That's tough. I don't really want to
what I'm
marry
gonna
any
do.
of them.
I know what I'm going to do.
I know what I'm going to do.
And
too,
if
but
we're
you go
doing it
first.
on characters from this movie,
Yeah.
I am going to marry Slater from Dazed and Confused.
Okay.
Because he's the most easygoing out of the 3.
For sure.
He's
He's probably got no brain
Seth
cells
is
left.
a little bit
too
like
easygoing.
high anxiety, and I feel like us together, it might be just a little too tense. And also, Cal Penn in his movie is just a little like aggressively like anti-establishment that it makes me nervous at times. He's chaotic. Versus Slater's got that easygoing energy that I feel like I have enough chaos and anxiety on my own. I feel like it's a good match. So I'm going to marry Slater.
Okay.
I'm going to fuck Cal Penn.
Of course
because
you are.
That chaos is fun in
Yeah,
bed.
he's hot. Like for me, I think Cal Penn is hot. Like, so I'm like, I'm for it. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I think that I am going to go in a slightly different direction. That too laid back energy straight. First of all, I'm surprised because this motherfucker never had a job and never will.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
This is to me, I'm surprised.
Well, he does have a job when he's in Empire Records. So maybe
there
he
you
works
go.
in the record store now.
There you go. Hey, I don't see any gumption out of this kid, and I'm
Right.
like, I can't ever see him other than this like stoner kid that I went to high school with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No drive
Totally
is gonna
cute, though.
like he's so cute. But yeah, I'm with you on
Can't marry
that.
him.
Yeah, my toxic trait is thinking he'll grow out of it.
You can fix him. You can fix him. Yeah.
So true.
That's my toxic trait.
So I have to dismiss him. I'm going to marry Seth Rogen. I do think he's also high strung, but there's something about that character. Like he's just, I don't know. Like he's more of an uppers dude. Like
He's fun.
He's
Yeah,
fun.
he's really fun. Mhm.
He's up. I don't know. He doesn't have that lazy stoner thing. Like he gets out of the house.
Yeah.
And then Cal Penn or Kumar.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna fuck Kumar.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Good
he's
choice.
good looking, and it'll be fun.
Okay. So same as you, Cassie, there is something about that character. I would have loved to hang out with Slater in high school. Like, I think that would have been really fun for me. Maybe would have hooked up with him in high school.
Yeah.
But as far as like marrying him, I don't think I could because he might get his shit together, but I have a feeling it's going to take him a whole lot longer to get his shit together than I'm want to wait for. Like, he actually reminds me somewhat of my ex, and I'm like, he might get it together, he might not, but you're gonna spend at least the first like 3 years of your relationship trying to push him to get his shit together. And I'm like, I can't do it. So
you're not gonna be able to, he's not gonna be dateable until like late 30s.
Yes, exactly. When he finally starts to like pull himself up, and then he's switching to like edibles instead of like smoking weed from a bong all day.
And he starts a construction business in which he flips houses. This is
because you know that man,
Art Slater did this. I'm not kidding.
You know that man in his younger days, his house is definitely the house that smells like bong water, right? Like, he has spilled bong water on his carpet and half-heartedly cleaned it up with like a dish towel. Okay, like, that's the vibe you're getting.
And the bathroom has that toilet paper roll that just has like one shred of TP on it.
There's toilet paper. It's just sitting on the sink, and it's wet on the bottom because the sink got wet and nobody wiped it.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
Oh my
like,
God.
You shower over there, but you low key like don't want to, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, I can't marry him.
He's had the same shower liner since he moved in.
It's like you can see the mold at the bottom.
God damn. His mom bought it for him when he moved
definitely
in.
Like shaved in the sink and then kind of half-heartedly brushed the hairs away, so there's still like hairs in the sink.
Shaving cream debris and toothpaste crust on the
literal like toothpaste droplets.
And this man is staying like this until he's like 25 at least, you know?
The mirror has that like film of smoke. Oh, absolutely.
I love how specific this has gotten.
Because we know this guy.
We have all slept with this man. Yeah. Like, listen, we've all been there. Okay. But, you know, totally would have hung out with him in high school. Like, he seems like he's cute and he's kind of funny and he is super laid back, which is fun until it's time to clean the bathroom. So I am going to marry Kumar because to me, Kumar is chaotic, right? He's got to fuck the establishment edge. I feel like I can help temper that a little bit, first of all.
Or direct it.
I can direct that energy, right? Like, or I can try. I can fix him. And then 2, I do feel like he is the type who will grow out of it more quickly and or, you know, become one of those stoners who like knows when it's appropriate to not be smoking 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Like,
or he like starts this amazing multi-million-dollar cannabis company.
Or that,
you know? Like he's found
got that
energy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he was ahead of the legalization curve. So, you're going to be living with some of that sweet pot money.
I feel like I trust him, right? To get it together for me. And then I'm going to fuck Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen in Pineapple Express, he does seem like the kind of guy who you could just totally be chilling with. Like, you're just kind of hanging out with, having pizza, watching movies, and then it's just like halfway through the night, you're like, do you want to make out? And then you end up with them in bed the next morning. And you're not even like mad about it. And nobody's weird about it. No. You just like get up, have your coffee, you know, and say like, hey, I'll see you later.
And he laughs with that laugh.
That's
Seth Rogen has this vibe to him. Do you ever get that vibe from some guys are more interested in your pleasure?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Seth Rogen has that vibe.
Yes.
Where he's like, he seems like he'd be more into you having a good time. And I'm here for that.
Me too. I think it would be nice.
I think we nailed it, you guys.
Yeah, crushed
Happy
it.
420. Speaking of, it
Good
smells
job.
like pot in my house right now. I don't know why.
Well, we also have a handful of new patrons. So exciting.
Yeah, we do.
So I want to give a big thank you to Anna DeHont. We have 2 Heathers, Heather McCallum and Heather Newman. Welcome, welcome. Shalina Taylor and Melissa Lynn. Welcome to our patron family. We are so excited to have you. Look out for our next Tainted Love movie episode will be coming out soon on Witches of Eastwick, which was What a wild ride. So that'll be coming in June. And if you have any FMK suggestions or Tainted Love suggestions or Would You Rathers, we always love to hear them. So thanks so much.
Yeah. Well, you guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with stories?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Cool.
And we're back. Okay, Cass, you've got the Tainted Love this week, so you kick us off with stories.
I do. And we were talking so much during the break that I completely forgot to pull up my story. So here we go. It's going to take me 1 second to just come back and find it real quick. By the way, you guys, we have gotten so many stories sent to us, and
we're so grateful. Thank you
so much. It's been awesome. Keep them coming. We love it. Okay, so this is one of the submissions that I got. I'm going to keep it anonymous because they did not say whether we could share. So here we go. I moved from the U.S. to another country. First of all, I have to start off by saying this is a bit of a nightmare scenario. Keegan, you're going to hate this.
Oh, like, great.
Semi trigger warning for like a little stalker.
It's always me. I feel like it's always Keegan's going to hate this.
Yeah. This is not going to be your favorite. I moved from the U.S. to another country for high school because my family had to take care of my grandparents. The summer before my senior year, I was out with my friends, and 2 guys that I knew that had a crush on me had approached me. We were just talking, and they told me about a guy at their school that said he was in love with me and even made a song about me, and they began to sing it.
No,
I did not believe them because I did not know who that was, and the story felt too outlandish to believe. I've never been one to believe gossip, so I did a stupid thing. I guess I was young. I messaged the guy in question on Facebook and asked, "Do you know me?" And he said, "No." So
to be honest, I would have done that. I totally would have done that. Like, that's something that a young me would have done, because I'm so curious. The 3 of us have talked about this before, where it's just like, I don't want anything to do with that, but I would like more information. So
absolutely. That's why I accepted that LinkedIn invite the other day that I shared with you guys. I'm like, I don't like it, but also what do you want?
I need to know. And so this is the same thing where I'm just like, deep down, I know this is a bad decision, but also I need to know.
I need to know if you wrote a fucking song.
And how and why.
And I don't know you.
And like, how do you know? Like, yes, I need to know.
Need to know more. Okay, so do you know me? He still denied it, but he was cool, so he denied that he knew her. He had good taste in music and was easy to talk to, so we began talking. I met him like twice, but for the most part, our relationship was online only. He liked me, and at one point, I thought I liked him too, but really, it just kind of was more fleeting. I just think that it was because we talked often, and it was more like, I like you because you're giving me a lot of attention type of situation.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was a little strange at times and dark, but I brushed it off. After high school, I moved back to the U.S. for college. We talked a few times a week, but never really flirted or even ventured beyond the friend zone. At one point, we had not spoken in about 3 months. I texted him and he said, "Hey, are you okay?" I got a weird reply back saying, "I have a girlfriend." So I just replied and said, "Okay." Then and there, I was like, oh, this is just one of those girls who's probably going to be jealous that he has girlfriends. So he said that he hated her so much because she was evil. He had clearly been depressed and posted a lot of like demonic looking creatures on his social media. What? Like took a turn. So he's got this new girlfriend, and so apparently he's like not happy. So this is why she reached out to him in the first place, because she's like, "Hey, are you okay? And like, what's going on?" He's like, "I have a new girlfriend. She's awful."
What?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
bro. Like,
it's a very Jack Nicklaus vibe.
Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
Vibe.
Oh, no.
Honestly.
So one day, out of the blue, in my junior year of college, I get a text saying, "You look and remind me of her." I responded, "Who?" Like, out of the fucking blue, this guy is like, not been talking to her, has a new girlfriend.
Junior year of college. So this is years later. This story began with her senior year of high school.
Yes. Started with her in high school. They were still talking when she moved back to the States. he was acting weird. She asked why. It's because he has a new girlfriend. So apparently they weren't going to be able to talk anymore. But now, out of the fucking blue, he sends her a message and is like, oh, hey, you remind me of my ex-girlfriend.
And the ex-girlfriend you didn't like? Like, why are you writing me out of the blue to inform me, to insult me? You're insulting me.
Thank you.
Out of the blue. I wasn't even thinking about you. Stay over there.
What is your name again?
What's wrong with you?
Like, out of the blue. And so she's like, I responded, who? And he says, my ex. Since then, I noticed a change in our interactions. He was getting to be obsessive, and some of his texts raised major red flags and made me feel like maybe I didn't really know who I had been talking to all this time. It made me wonder if he began to think I was his ex, if he talked to his ex because he thought she looked like me. The following day, he was at a hotel with his family, and he mentioned that he wished I could have been there with him. And if I visit, they could go to a hotel. I could come with them because he would just tell his father that I'm his girlfriend. I replied with, why would you lie? You could just tell him we're friends. He changed the subject.
I'm sorry. This is too much. I'm done. I'm checked out. I don't think that she likes him enough to be doing all of this. Like, I'm just like, honey, just...
Why are you still writing him? This guy's...
And this is me now at my age now saying this. Like, I'm sure that I would have like benefit of the doubted my way into this situation at that age. But like me now, I'm like, girl, I'm tired. Like this guy seems like work. He seems like a lot of work.
I'm tired reading this. And honestly, you're so right. But this is junior year
so you're
college.
20,
maybe? Yeah. Baby you.
Exactly.
Where you're like...
Yeah, I need a TLDR, like, because I'm just like already at this point, like patience wise, like
out of
it.
Yeah. Because it's true. Like, you're right. What you will put up with at 30 something, 40 something is just different. Not the same. And you're right. The gymnastics that you do, the mental gymnastics to put up with somebody who you're like, well,
yeah, I definitely, I'm not at all judging her because like I would have done the same thing. I'm just saying now at this age, I'm like, dude, you take up even 15 minutes of my valuable time with your nonsense and you're getting a block at this point. We cannot.
Oh, amen.
We can't.
Well, she does continue it and it really doesn't go any better. And I think that this is the other thing that college level aged women get trapped in a lot, which is therapist, in which we're like, we can help him, we can benefit them, they need a friend. And that's kind of where this tends to go. And it doesn't get better. And he says that eventually he doesn't have any energy or motivation to do anything since his girlfriend left him. And this is a year after they broke up and he had dropped out of college. And that set off red sirens in my head because he had been messaging me for almost every day since they broke up, like walking to class right now. School is annoying. Just left class.
Okay.
For like a year straight. So he's fucking lying about even being schooled. Like
red flags all over the place.
She said red siren and I'm...
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when I look back at my 20s, I wish I hadn't wasted my time with subpar men.
Yep.
Because you just have to know that like the world is your oyster and there are nothing but options ahead of you. So why waste time with somebody so subpar?
Well, to learn those lessons. That's why. I mean, you said it earlier. It's like we've learned lessons from the things we've done in the past. So, you know, now you can say that you had that experience. You've learned your lesson from that experience and hopefully like don't repeat that in the future. But yeah, I mean, like all three of us definitely made very questionable dating choices.
Absolutely.
Put up with way more shit than we should have. And that's why we can now say now, like, first sign of bullshit, we're walking the other way because it's just like there's a million people out there. Oh my God. Right. Like I just met someone who was telling me about their sister and like this man like treats her like shit. He's a polyamorous pagan Viking. Okay.
I actually know a surprising number of people that would identify that way. And I don't know why they go together like that, but something about polyamory and Ren Fair or Viking type situations.
Who unironically wears
their Venn diagram.
And treats you like shit.
And vampire.
And
vampire is also in the Venn diagram.
We cannot.
Yeah. It's fucked up because it's like people, the amount of people that are using polyamory to just treat other people like shit is infuriating to people that do actually work really hard to practice it ethically.
Yes, I do want to clarify that. I have nothing against polyamory, like at all. It's just that this particular subgenre of man who is using polyamory as just being like, I just want to fuck around on cheat. You. Yeah. Like I don't want to be like respectful or ethical in any way. I just want you to stay home and take care of my child so that I can go out and hang out with my other girlfriends.
Other women.
Bye-bye. You know, like, wow. And I want to shake that person and I want to be like, there are 8 billion people on this planet. We are overpopulated. You can find someone better. Stop it.
Yes. And you're wasting your 20s. This might be your peak body.
This fun
might
time.
be your peak body.
Should be fun time.
You look good, girl. Don't do it. Anyway, one night at around midnight, I was trying to get to sleep and he was calling. I did not answer, but texted him and said I had a really bad day and I could text, but I'm not up to talk. He texted, no, you were going to answer me. I did not answer, and he kept calling nonstop.
The audacity.
I had 20 missed calls, and he texted me expletives and, quote, I have an axe with your name on it behind my mother's house.
Oh, my God. 9-1-1.
9-1. He then texted me that he had a notebook where he wrote over 80 ways of killing me.
Wow.
Sir, I responded, I'm not comfortable with people who say things like this.
That's the nicest way she could have said that.
Right.
She is giving him all the benefit of the doubt. But eventually she does block him. She's basically like the police. There's like doubted the police could do much about it, which she's probably right. He's in another country. There's not going to be anything that they're going to do. They're going to be like, well, he hasn't done anything. I would just go on to ignore the messages and block his accounts. He then messaged me from the last time on a Facebook cursing and saying that if I say anything to anyone, he knows about things. He's shared with me that it won't be pretty and that he has my address. Thankfully, I had already signed a new lease and had moved out of my old apartment, but I put all of my accounts on private and have not been comfortable about posting since then. Literally 3 years. 3 years.
Yep, that's awful. That's awful. And that's the thing is it an empty threat? Probably, but you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't fucking know.
You don't know. And you don't know if this is the type of person who will take out that aggression on someone close to them, because anyone who, and who knows, maybe they won't, but like anyone who feels comfortable enough expressing those kinds of thoughts to a person, they've got some real questionable shit going on. You know what I mean? And it makes me wonder if they might escalate in some way. You know, like that's very scary. Oof.
Ugh. Well, I've got another listener story. So amazing. She says she just started listening and binging hard. So welcome. Here is one of my worst date stories. As a serial dater in my 20s, I have many. I'm sure I'm also someone's worst date story. Haha. Yeah, same girl.
We've all been there.
So she says, years ago, I had gone out drinking after my shift ended at the bar I was working at. Things got blurry, and in the morning, I noticed I had some guy's business card in my pocket. Been there. He was a beer rep. I crept him on Facebook because I had his full name, and he was a complete stud. So I texted him, and we ended up planning a date. Okay. Love it so far. The date rolls around, and I was to meet him at his place. Oof, scary. When I got there,
I know. I just feel like we have to reiterate, like, never your place or their place on a first date. Just because you don't know, you just don't know them.
Yeah,
never.
Yes. Yeah. You're just getting lucky when nothing really bad happens.
Yeah.
You know? So when I got there, he was half naked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So he tells me to come in and that he needs to shower. Weird, because he was supposed to be ready. I mean,
come on.
It's
out.
It's so
already out.
transparent. It's so transparent what you're trying to do. You want to get naked while I'm here. And just the amount of just like obscene confidence that it takes to try and pull something like that. That's ridiculous.
Right. Oh my God. Okay. So he comes back after disappearing for a few seconds and asks if I want to join him.
Go fuck yourself.
Of course you did.
I wanted to think he was joking, but he wasn't. Spoiler alert.
He was not.
Dear reader, he was not. Not wanting to be rude and not sure why I even continued to stay, politely said no thanks. Fast forward to the bar. He's completely rude the whole time, talks nonstop about his ex-girlfriend and how he plays hockey.
Okay.
Because I worked at the bar, we got 30 free drink tickets as it was promo night.
Why do you need 30 free drink tickets? Like, you do not need 15 drinks a piece. Like, coming from someone who drinks frequently and can drink a lot, that's too much.
That's a lot.
That's too many drinks. Why?
That's too much. Oh, no.
This man still complained at the end of the night that he had to leave a tip and refused to.
No. Fuck this guy.
Honestly, is the most egregious behavior I have ever heard. And yes, I have worked in the service industry, so I am completely biased, but I think that is such an indicator of someone's values and who they are. The fact that he got fucking 1 million free drinks and wouldn't at least slap a 20 or
honestly,
even a
fuck
5
you.
Or whatever. But still, I'm just like, you're not going to fucking take care of the people. I'm just...
Fuck you.
Honestly. So I went up to the waitress, gave her a big tip, thanked her, and sat back down. Why was I still here on this date? I'll never know. I made questionable life choices at this point in my life.
Listen, we just talked about it. We get it. We do.
I literally am going to name this episode My Toxic Trait because it really does feel like we're going through. I'm like,
I get it. I totally would have probably done that. Like, you're like, well, I'm here. Might as well like see the rest of the night out.
Yep.
See where it takes us.
Then he asked me, I'm going to try to say this with a straight face.
Oh, no.
So, want to go have a pantso party back at my place?
What's that mean?
I'm sorry.
If you don't know, that means pants optional. Pants.
Okay. No.
Fuck you. No. No, sir, I do not.
How old are you? That is so, like, what are you talking about? Like, the amount of time, like, okay, twice now he's tried to, like, trick her into getting naked. Like, just, if you're gonna hook up, you're gonna hook up. Like, you don't need to make it a game. This is so weird.
Yeah. Exactly. So juvenile. It just is gross. Shocked, I excused myself and ran to the bathroom. I called my friend and asked her what to do. I decided to call a cab and I left. I'm like, I have to imagine your friend was like, girl, WTF, get the fuck out of there.
I think, it was GTFO, not WTF.
This man didn't even notice I left. And 2 hours later, I get a text saying, where'd you go?
What's wrong with him? Like, how would you not notice that someone is gone? Oh, God.
I didn't reply to his other messages, and in the morning, I get a text saying, the least you could do is drive me to my minivan since I took you out last night. I never replied. This guy tried calling me for 2 years after this day.
Why does him driving a minivan make it better to me? Like, I'm just like, that's so funny. I'm like, why are you... No shame on minivans. Just like, what a strange thing for a single man to be driving.
I see it though as like a old gray, like
it's like a Ford Aerostar. Amazing.
He's got band equipment in it.
No. Oh, absolutely.
That's exactly
got
this guy.
At least one cabinet in there.
Oh, yeah. An amp. Yeah,
totally.
For sure.
I would get long voicemails of him apologizing and long text messages every 6 months.
2
It
years.
was cringy.
My
years.
dude.
Just
wow.
God, like,
did he not make it back to his mate?
Still looking for it.
Oh, man.
Dude, where's my car?
So good.
Okay. This is also a listener story. It says, "Hi, ladies. I have a great story for you. I met this guy online. I don't remember which site, but it was probably Plenty of Fish. I know.
Oh.
So we texted for a week or two before meeting up, and over the course of our conversation, he mentioned that he'd been in a bad car accident recently. I don't remember if he said he was missing teeth at this point or if it was unveiled to me in person, but that's not even the highlight of the story or the first guy to show up with half his teeth.
Oh.
So I drive an hour to meet this guy.
No. You drove an hour to meet a guy with no teeth?
I drive an hour to meet this guy. I was in that stage of dating where I was letting go of my standards because I wasn't getting anywhere with them. I thought,
oh honey, that's not the plan. No. But I've been there.
Right?
That's also my toxic trait. I have been there.
I get it. It's just like, well, I don't know. Maybe my standards are too high.
Having standards isn't getting me laid, so let's just throw those out the window for a bit.
86 those standards real quick.
Woo!
I thought, what the hell? I can give this a shot. We meet up, and I was instantly disappointed with his appearance. Why do so many guys look worse in person? Letting go of...
Because he has no teeth. That's how.
Letting go of my classic standards, I try to relax and just enjoy meeting someone new. The first date was unremarkable, and I was thinking that was it, but he kept texting me, and on a particularly lonely weekend, I decided to go on a second date. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that I wasn't a fan of missing teeth because that's the kind of thing I like to be honest about, and he said he planned on getting them fixed but didn't have the money right now. Now that's,
yeah,
dental care
is very expensive.
Right.
So,
true.
yeah,
and he wasn't a car accident. I don't know. Maybe it's related.
Oh, shit. Well,
I don't know.
Explains a lot.
Know. So here comes Red Flag City. He asked me to pick him up at his mom's nursing home because he doesn't have a car because of the accident. That was
How do you get to the nursing home?
I don't know. Was he staying there? The Uber? I don't know. That was a red flag to me, but I ignored it as I usually do. He gets in my car and smells overwhelmingly like cheap shampoo and BO. It was so gross. I wanted to kick him out right then and there. The circumstances of him being at the nursing home were strange as well. Like maybe he was living there, but I ignored that too. He wanted to... What? He wanted me to pick the place we were going. Again, this is a red flag since I drove all the way down to see him. I like a guy that can take charge and make a plan. We drive to the bar with the windows open, sit down, and are chatting about dogs and stuff. He shows me a picture of his dog on his Facebook page and hands me his phone to check them out. As I'm scrolling, I see a picture of what I think is my car. I click on it, and I can tell it is the dash of the passenger side of my Jeep. My heart is beginning to pick up speed at this point, and I can feel my face getting hot. Not only is that the strangest picture to take, it was literally just the black interior of the passenger side interior. The caption on it says, "I'm going to steal this bitch's car."
What?
Now,
oh no.
My heart is full on pumping out of my chest, and I feel like I'm in a scene in a movie. I confront him immediately and say, "Why do you have a picture of my car on your Facebook page?" He said, "It's a joke, and it's supposed to be funny." I said, "That is not funny at all, and I don't understand the joke."
You are not a comedian.
I don't understand why guys joke about violence against women and don't expect us to be fucking terrified.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. When this is a thing that happens.
Right.
Like, oh, okay. He kept trying to reassure me that it was no big deal. And the more I said, no, that's not okay, the more his demeanor changed. Reddest of flags.
Absolutely.
He finally realized I was pissed and turned towards the bar and started sulking. Previously, he was turned sideways where his body was turned towards mine. Super awkward because I wasn't giving him any indication that I wanted PDA. He looked like a sad puppy, even with his head hanging down. He got up to use the bathroom, and I got my keys ready. I was trying to decide if I had enough nerve to walk out. I didn't want to stiff the bartender and was scared this guy would run after me if he came out of the bathroom while I was headed out the door. So I wait for him to return and tell him I'm leaving. He's still sulking and says, well, I don't have any money to pay for my beer. Of course fucking not.
Wow. Of course he doesn't.
Jesus. So I pay the tab, luckily only for 2 beers, and head out. He is following me, and I am trying to move quickly. As I approach my car, I turn around and put my hand up and say, no, you cannot get in my car. You'll have to find a ride. Good for you, honey. He took
honestly, that takes a lot of bravery.
Tons. It would have been easier to sneak out while he was in the bathroom than to have to deal with that kind of confrontation.
Right.
He took 2 more steps, and I stopped again and said, no. I shook all the way home, but was relieved and went right back to having standards. I took a little break from dating after this one. I have never been so nervous in my life, and my heart was beating outside of my chest. You could have lit a match on my skin. I've also never been that confrontational, so I'm proud of that. But I do wish I'd left him at the bar while he was going to the bathroom. So that is my worst date story. Although I have so many more stories that come close.
Oh no.
Guys with a surprise mouth of missing teeth, finding out that I was dating a pimp, a guy with a nosebleed during dinner, etc.
Jesus.
A list full of winners. Cheers.
Oh my God. Send them all.
I know. I'm going to respond and be like, please send us the rest of your bad date stories. I mean, but that is really scary. I don't know why. First of all, like, is it a joke? Because, like, I don't get the punchline. Like, what's the joke that's supposed to be happening?
Doesn't feel like a
there?
joke.
It doesn't feel like a joke. And then secondly, you're absolutely right, Christina. It's like making jokes about violence or criminal activity towards women who are on dates with strangers is really not funny at all, because we do a Tainted Love segment on this show where it ends badly all the time. You know, so like...
Yeah, people are constantly like, not all men, but how the fuck would we know?
I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know. How many stories have we told where it's like, yeah, this seemed like a completely normal person. Like, even spent time with them and it was a completely normal time until it wasn't, right? So it's just like, when you get red flags like that, I'm walking the other way, dude. No.
Yeah, and kudos to her. Like, I honestly, being like upfront with him and saying, no, you're not getting in my car, that's really fucking brave.
Very.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Woo. Well, do you guys want to take 5 and I'll come back with my Tainted Love?
Yes, let's do it.
Sounds good. All right. Oh, sorry. Keegan, you're the...
No, listen, since we started doing 2 ad breaks, now I'm like, I don't know who says, and we're back at the second ad break. Like, I don't know. It's filling me with anxiety. I'm like sweating in here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
but regardless, the listeners know we're back.
We're back.
Please give us your Tainted Love.
Here we go. I am going to tell you guys the story of Christine Schultz. You're going to know this story because it's a pretty famous story. I got a lot of my information actually from a lot of different places. One of them was an Oxygen.com article by Benjamin H. Smith, Wikipedia, Murderpedia. I watched the Murder Made Me Famous episode about this. I also got actually there was a really good article on Frank F. Weber. He's an author on his website. I don't know what he writes, but he had a really well written article on his page. So about
Frank.
this. So thank you, Frank. So then also, so the story is about Christine Schultz. She's born as Christine Pennings in 1950 in Menominee, Michigan. She is born in, beautiful family, grows up, ends up marrying at 18, really young, to a Fred Schultz. His name is Alfred Schultz, but he goes by Fred Schultz, and they move to Wisconsin, where he becomes a Milwaukee police officer. And it's, everything's great. They have 2 kids. She stays at home with the children. They have 2 boys, Sean and Shannon. And they seemingly beautiful life, but they got married at 18. And it's very rare that somebody who gets married at 18, I mean, it happens, but an 18-year-old marriage, as many marriages do, ended in divorce. And they seem to have like a somewhat amicable divorce in the way that they seem to get along for the boys' sake. But there was a lot of animosity on Fred's side because Fred is very much like angry. He has some anger toward having to pay her alimony, having to pay for child support. She pretty much lives in their home where they raise the kids. Like, she didn't move out, so he's just been paying for this house that he no longer lives in. So there's becomes a little bit of animosity with that. The police department, let me tell you a little bit about the Milwaukee police at the time. They have a real, it's described as very 1950s police kind of scene.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
I mean,
no.
It's given you...
No, it is not good.
It's given you if Mad Men were a police station vibes.
No, look, listen, we already have enough issues without adding in that like incredibly toxic work environment on top of it. Like, What year is this supposed to take place?
Well, so that's what I was going to say. This is like in the late 70s, early 80s. Okay, so this is like
I can't imagine that was a good time either in the workplace, but yeah.
Not a great time. Not a great time to be somebody who is not a white man, for sure. But definitely this police department was like littered with like problems of like, they had a lot of like party. It was, we'll get into it a little bit more.
Well, yeah, there's so many stories from that time period. And I mean, unfortunately still today, where that's that insular police department structure created a lot of problems. And I mean, the way that the police department was actually founded is problematic. So then you add all that stuff on top of it and you really have
yeah. I mean, none of that has really changed. Yeah. That whole like thin blue line, protect your brothers situation has not changed much at all. So
this is definitely a thick blue line. Nothing thin about this one.
Got it.
So this is like I said, they're notoriously behind the times, even for 1970s like period. Like the chief is like, he is kind of a ball buster. They start to, though, the government is like, you guys really need to hire outside of white men. Like, it's time to explore, I don't know, white women. You guys need to like bring on, I don't know, people of color. And the chief is like, but do we? And they're like, yes, no, you absolutely have to. And here's some money to help fund that. So they were part of like this program in which they were pretty much demanded to bring on diversity.
Embarrassing that they were forced to do that. Yeah. Like it's so like, really, you let it go so long that someone at the top, do you know what it takes for someone at the top to be like, actually, this is bad enough that you need to do it. Like, no, we're going to like force you to do this. Like, it has to be egregious. Yes. For someone to do that, because they let a lot of shit go. Like, they let a lot of shit slide. They're like, you need to hire white women, but it's okay if you sexually assault them or whatever, So they let a lot of things go, and then so you just know it had to be like pretty bad.
Yeah, it's very bad.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, and thinking through the demographics of Milwaukee and it being the 70s, how terrifying that must have been for a lot of people to have to interact with that kind of police force.
Yes.
Say that.
Well, and you're like super close to Chicago, right? So your demographic isn't, like you said, it's not a bunch of white men that are being arrested. So imagine, it's a pretty scary time. And the police force is just running around like they can do whatever they want. They can be whoever they want to be, but they have gotten the gauntlet has come down, and it's now they're being enforced to run a pilot program in which they start to enlist diversity into their station. And so enter Laurie Bembenek. She is a beauty. She grows up in Milwaukee. She's a beautiful daughter of 4 children. She's the youngest. Her and her mother don't necessarily get along really well, but her and her father have like a incredible relationship, and her dad used to be a police officer, so kind of like one of those things that maybe stuck into the back of her brain and like, you know, melded there. So she was like really interested in the service or being a police officer, but I mean, she's also young. She actually was Miss Schlitz of 1978. If you're familiar with Schlitz beer, Keegan, you might be. I saw you drink that Miller Lite.
Wow. I am not familiar with Schlitz beer, but thank you so much.
Schlitz beer just reminds me of something that might be on The Simpsons. You know what I mean?
Schlitz,
like
it does. It sounds fake.
Schlitz beer reminds me of that commercial on Saturday Night Live with Chris Farley and Adam Sandler.
He like flips up the glasses.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right. Sorry, Keegan. I do love you.
That's okay.
You know I love you because I'm making fun of you. It's a real toxic trait.
There you go.
It's a real Aries energy. Yeah.
At any rate, the Miss Schlitz 1978, she is a fucking, when I tell you how beautiful she is legitimately maybe one of the most beautiful people that we've ever talked about on this show. Like, she is giving you beautiful 80s vibes. She's giving you like Princess Diana she wishes she looked this pretty. Like, that's wow. She is
high
beautiful.
Praise.
Like, she's just really beautiful. And at 21 years old, she finds in the newspaper an article that's asking specifically and requesting specifically looking for women and or people of color, which I'm certain the newspaper article did not say it that way. At 21 years old, she sees this article and she's like, I'm going to join the Milwaukee police force. They're specifically asking for women to apply. So she does apply. And she even like joins a gym. She starts working out. She's like, I am going to do so well. She really, really wants this. So she is literally like, when they're doing their training and stuff, and, you know, they kind of compete against each other. I know nothing about this world, but it kind of makes it seem like, you know, the men are competing with each other to be the strongest, the fastest, whatever. And she's just blowing these guys out of the fucking water. She has been training for this. She's at her peak. This bitch is 21 years old. She is on top of it, right? And so she is just putting even these men to just shame.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they loved that. I'm sure that they were real chill and easy-going about that.
They were like, go girl, you get it.
Girl power.
That's not how it was at all. They were not like that. Surprise, surprise. She actually meets another woman in the during her training, Judy Zess, and they become like kind of thick as thieves, like instant friends. They're going through this like really difficult time period in which, you know, women entering a police force that have never really had women except for probably at their front desks. So this is, you know, a big deal. Like, they're going through this together, and she and Judy, you know, become fast friends, and they, you know, find their way. They make it through the academy with flying colors, especially her. She's just really a go-getter. Makes it through the academy with flying colors and are able to, you know, get like their careers started. And they are working under other police officers. Now, it's not necessarily probably the most ideal time, right? We've already said it. There's a lot of things, especially in circa 1978, 1980 version of life women went through, that especially in that type of scenario, but it was a really party culture. She, you know, they'd gone to like many parties of like fellow officers, fellow recruits, things like that. It was at one of these fellow officer parties that she actually has an encounter with one of the wives of a fellow officer, and this woman basically comes up to her and confronts her, and she's like, kind of like a how dare you wear this? I saw my husband looking at you. Like, how dare you wear that to my house? How dare you look so pretty?
That sounds like your husband's problem, honey.
Sounds like
that sounds like a your relationship issue. What the fuck does that have to do with me?
Exactly.
Has nothing to do with her. But then there's suddenly this out of nowhere call to the police station that is just anonymous call that she was at a party and she was wearing her badge on her chest and smoking weed and just making a mockery of the police department and how embarrassing. I can't believe this woman's hired. So she got a stern talking to. And, they were like, you can't be doing that. That's how you can't reflect, that's not how you should be reflecting the department, culture, blah, blah, blah.
It's okay for the men folk, but women or people of color,
no, you can't do that.
We have higher standards for them, or different standards, right?
The bar is on the ceiling.
Yep.
The glass ceiling. So anyway, she's like, I definitely did not do that. I can, Judy Zuss was with me. She can say that I didn't do that. That didn't happen. That's not at all how this was.
Yeah, but you know how women are. Women are just going to stick together. They're going to lie for each other.
Absolutely.
So you can't trust Judy.
Well, and let's be honest, women dress like sluts, so they're probably asking for it. Keegan's face. You looked at me like I was saying it personally to her. Anyway, they end up going to a concert. Her and Judy end up going to a concert. At this concert, Pink Floyd concert, by the way, Judy ends up getting in trouble because she's apparently caught smoking some pot. So she gets arrested at a Pink Floyd concert for smoking pot in the 70s. So, I mean, literally, that.
I mean, not the only one there.
I'm sure she is not. Anyway, so she gets arrested, but because Laurie is with her, she's like, gets arrested too. And Judy basically is like, yep, she was smoking pot too. It wasn't just me. Like, what are you talking about? But they both get reprimanded, and Laurie refuses to leave the department. They're basically giving her like a ultimatum, and they're like, you really need to leave the department. She's like, I don't want to leave the department. So it's
so hard though.
Yeah.
Like to be like, she's like worked really hard to get what is at the time a decent, good government job.
Yeah.
A career.
Right. She's trying to build a career for herself and taking it very seriously. She wants to have this career. She wants to be in the police department. It's what she's lived for. She had a couple failed relationships, but it's also around this time that she meets Fred Schultz. Fred Schultz is a fellow police officer who has recently been divorced from Christine Schultz, who I told you about earlier. He is, again, he's paying alimony. He's got 2 kids. He's paying a lot of money out. And when he meets Laurie, they fall hard and fast. Like, he is immediately like, I'm in love with you. They fall so fast that when they go to get married, their first marriage isn't even valid because the divorce was so soon to being over. Like, at the time, I think you had to be divorced for like 6 months or something before you could get remarried. And they had to get married again just to make it a legal marriage. I mean, they fell for each other, got married very quickly.
What is the hurry?
I know.
You know, I always feel that way. I'm like, what is the hurry? Like, why can't you just relax? Like, you can be in a relationship and do all this shit. Like, why were you like, no, we have to get married and immediately, if not sooner? Like, why?
And he's a fellow police officer too. So it's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I also think if he's paying a bunch of alimony and child support and then he gets married and he's bringing in even more money, like, I feel like that would put him on the hook to pay even more, wouldn't it?
No, her money doesn't count toward his income.
But if they're married?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I thought it did, because then you have like a marital income.
No, it's only his income that is affected.
Oh, okay.
Now, it does help
him out.
It does help him out to have an additional income so that they can afford to, like, I don't know, live. So that does help in that situation. But it's also around this time that, you know, things are getting harder and harder for her at work. You know, they've accused her of something. And, you know, one day she calls in to kind of check her schedule, find out what her hours are at work. And they're like, oh yeah, sorry, you were actually fired. So we're going to go ahead and send a sergeant over to pick up all your shit because you don't work here anymore. And she's like,
excuse me, I don't feel like that's how that should work.
On the phone.
Has that ever happened to you when you had a job? You just like call in to check the schedule and you're like, I'm not on the schedule.
No.
You don't work here anymore. No.
No. Thank God I haven't. At any rate, she's like, shit, like this is fucking bullshit. And she's married now to a cop. So it's like all very, like the timing is just real shit. But she's like, fine, whatever. She's just going through a depression because this is literally what she's been planning to do. This is her career. So she, by the way, I didn't tell you, I kind of buried the lead that they also call her Bambi Bembenek because her name sounds a little like Bambi. She's beautiful. She's got these big doe eyes. She hates the nickname, which is probably why I hesitated to bring it up even to this point, because she hates the nickname. Bambi is not how she wants to be seen. She wants to be seen and taken seriously. So it's kind of she really hates that moniker. So I've kind of rejected calling her that until this point, but I do feel like if you know this story, Bambi's going to be becoming an important part of the story and coming up.
It's a way to dismiss her and to infantilize her, by giving her a nickname like that,
Yeah, for sure. So she does lose her job. She decides, well, I guess that I'm going to waitress. And she ends up getting a job at the Playboy in Geneva Lake, which is got a Playboy club. So she decides that she's going to go there. She literally works there for a month. And the only reason I even bring it up is because it became such the crux of like this story. Like they call her this Playboy, bunny. Like it's like becomes part of her identity that she worked there for one fucking month. That she took one picture of her being a Schlitz girl, and she's like suddenly now being almost demonstratized by these decisions that she was kind of forced into making because like she needed a job. And I'm sorry, if you're going to waitress, like, hi, you look like Laurie Bembenek. You're going to work at I would work at the
you're going to make more money. Yeah.
Oh, fucking yeah. She's gorgeous. So things aren't going great for her. She's not happy. She really does. Again, her passion is to be in the police career. She wants to serve her community. So she ends up finding a job in security for a local college, and she gets a job with them. January 1981 is when they're married, and this is just months after they met. Money is tight. Laurie starts to get harassing phone calls. So she's actually getting harassing phone calls from the police department. And the reason she's getting harassing police calls is because she has gotten pictures. She goes to a bar one night and one of her friends is like, let me show you these photos from this party I was just at. And so she's looking at these photos and she's like, oh my God, these people are all like naked. And this is like a park in Wisconsin. Like he's like, oh yeah, this is like the main park in Wisconsin or Milwaukee. Yeah, this is. And she's like, these are fucking police officers. So
okay, so let's make this like so police officers in Milwaukee in the early 80s were having naked parties in the park.
Yeah. You didn't miss anything. That is exactly what I'm fucking saying.
I just wanted to double check.
Listen, when I tell you that on the show that I watched on the Murder Made Me Famous, they show the actual pictures, obviously blurred out. It's exactly what you expect it and want it to be.
How embarrassing, honestly.
The most embarrassing.
I always wonder, like, why are they allowing photos to be taken?
Thank you. Your police
officers.
I
realize that this is pre-internet, so like you don't have to worry about that aspect of it. But I'm like, but also in some ways that makes it worse. I'm like, you are pulling out your fucking like disposable Polaroid. You are taking pictures. You are taking that shit to get developed somewhere.
That's right.
Like what are you doing?
What it says is that they've done so much other shit that they've gotten away with that they're not even worried. That's what that says.
They can do whatever.
They can be naked in a park. Who the fuck cares?
Who's going to arrest them?
Who are they going to
call? The cops?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So she, with these photos in hand, goes to the Equal Employment Office and commission. And she's like, hi, you guys. I actually was fired because apparently I smoked pot, even though they never did any drug testing. They didn't prove it. And I wasn't. And this is the kind of partying they accused me of doing. But what I want you to know is that they hire women and people of color for only the trial period. And as soon as the trial period's over, find a way to get rid of them. So she's like, this is not fair. I was fired from this job unfairly and it's bullshit. So like I said, she's getting harassing phone calls. The police department is like, fuck you. You know, like, we're going to get you. And they're like leaving dead rats on her car, like all kinds of insane shit.
And meanwhile, she's married
to a cop. Who also apparently is not necessarily everybody's favorite guy either. Like, he kind of seems to be a bit of a douchebag. And
no kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, dude, you're working where you're working.
Just yeah.
With these people, when they're treating your wife how? Yeah, I don't think you're probably not the like.
Yes. Okay. So it's not long after everything is happening. Like I said, you know, Fred isn't necessarily happy with the situation where he's paying a lot of alimony and child support and all this stuff. There's financial troubles. The marriage, you know, quick to passion, quick to the pisser, is I think the name of this game. And, you know, they're having some financial troubles, but it's right around this time that their financial woes are about to end because Christine Schultz is found dead in her home. She has been shot. Now, this happens and her sons are there. Her sons don't witness her being shot, but are in the other room. There is a person that comes in with a masked hand who like puts their hand over the one son, Sean's mouth. Like, this is an intrusion into the home. She's shot. The boys hear the shot. They said it sounded like fireworks. They go to the phone. They call Christine's boyfriend, who is also a cop, and she's got a type. And they're like, somebody just shot our mom. So he calls, you know, obviously the ambulance. Everybody, they get the ambulance there. Her boyfriend shows up very quickly after Fred, her ex-husband, also shows up. He was on duty that night, on duty in a bar drinking with his fellow officer, his partner, and the bartender doing their job as drinking at the bar while on duty. I'll say it again. But they are, you know, of course, the first suspects are immediately going to be the boyfriend and the husband, supposedly. Those are the first people they look at, and they quickly dismiss. Do I know what the boyfriend was doing? Do I know where he was? No. I mean, the ex-husband does have a somewhat soft alibi. I mean, he was drinking at the bar with his friends, but also was working. So, I mean, he has an alibi, but that alibi is also a little bit questionable for some people because they're not really sure.
Because they'd also would lie for him.
They would also
Absolutely.
100% lie for each other.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's really the crux of the story is like, these people would lie and they would do something like this to set up somebody who is trying to make waves in their department for sure. So Sean, Christine and Fred's son, does say that they eventually do arrest Laurie. They're like, Laurie did it. They went to the house. Fred has a gun at their house. That's not his duty gun. He has another gun at the house, which that's like the first place they go. So the guys are like, oh, we didn't do it. And they're like, well, where's your off-duty gun? They go to his house. They go in his closet. They look at the gun. His partner's like, yep, hasn't been shot, hasn't been cleaned recently. So it's definitely not been this gun. But then it turns out that when they do forensics, apparently now it is his gun that shot it, but it was with Laurie, and Laurie was home sleeping and she has no alibi. So it has to be Laurie. Mm-hmm. I mean, talk about the most flimsy bullshit ever, too, right? So Sean, though, the son was like, it wasn't my stepmom who did this. It wasn't her. It was definitely a man. The man was wearing police shoes, and I know what they look like because my fucking dad and my not stepdad, but my mom's boyfriend both are in police. So I know what police shoes look like. It was definitely that. It was definitely a guy. He was wearing a red ponytail wig. And they're like, but you're just a kid. So it was definitely a woman who did it, and you don't know better. But he does testify to that even in the trial. So Laurie does get tried for this murder because they're like, yep, must be her. There was a blonde hair on her leg, and there was a red wig hair, and that's got to be her. It's the most flimsy bullshit case. They do end up finding the wig. The wig is found in the toilet plumbing of that she shares with her neighbors. But
that who shares with their neighbors?
That Laurie. Okay, so Laurie lives next door to another apartment. I feel like I'm trying to rush through the story. There's a lot to talk about. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a big story.
It's a big story. There is a wig found. The wig is found in the plumbing that's shared between the two apartments, her apartment and their neighbor's apartment. The funny story is that the neighbors are like, your friend Judy stopped by the other day. And she just stopped by to use the restroom. It's really weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most... It doesn't... Like, so many things in the story just don't add up. The long story short is that she is found guilty of murdering Christine Schultz in the most bizarre trial you've ever heard of. The people who convict her basically are like... The forensic evidence all leads to her. We can't dismiss that this isn't the gun, that she's the only one that has access to this gun. I mean, the case against her is not great in real life.
But you're going off of everything that system at that point in time was designed to not find the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was designed to find a truth that everybody could feel good about. And it seems like that's the case for,
well, and all these people know each other.
Yeah.
Like, it's a system that's designed to protect its own. So it's just like, this is why people I've been quiet a lot throughout this, because it's just like, there's so much stuff I could say that I'm just going to keep to myself. But this is why people do not trust our current justice system,
right? Yep.
The way it is set up. Because you protect your own.
That's right.
And we've seen it time and time and time again. And we can go on saying like, oh, it's just a few people or it's a few bad departments. But if the system is designed to allow this sort of thing to continue without any significant change over a century,
unchecked,
of course, people are losing faith in the way that our justice system operates and don't trust this. If she did do it, then it's like, okay, but like, why would I ever trust the way that this process
it is an injustice
done? Like,
system. It's an injustice system.
From the investigation all the way up through the courts, these people have relationships with each other, and it's very insular and designed to protect each other. So how can we trust that you've come to the truth?
Right. Well,
like,
I actually have a quote that was from the Frank Weber author's site that I found from his story. And there was a quote from the medical examiner. And so this is funny. It just shows you the level of bonkers that we're dealing with here. The medical examiner quote says, I recovered no blonde or red hairs of any length or texture. All the hairs I recovered from the body were brown and were grossly identical to the hair of the victim. I do not like to suggest that evidence was altered in any way, but I can find no logical explanation for what amounted to the appearance of blonde hair in an envelope that contained no such hair at the time it was sealed by me. Yeah. So even the medical examiners are like, but wait, so all this evidence, and I'm certain they probably didn't call this guy up on stage, who's the person they should have called, but they're probably like, oh yeah, we found a blonde hair and a red wig hair and this and that, and and they're like, no, that didn't happen. Anyway, she is found guilty because what they do present felt like enough for the jury to put her in prison. She ends up going to Taikita prison, which is part of the state prisons. This is where she meets a fellow inmate's brother. His name's Dominic. He goes by Nick. It's Dominic Guglielmo. This is where she meets him, is in prison, and they quickly fall in love. And she starts a relationship with this like inmate's brother, and they write letters to each other. Eventually he becomes like, gets on her list of people who can come see her. And it's actually, this guy seems incredibly nice and a very sweet guy. And they show him interviewed on the show, and he's just a sweet guy. Like you can't help but like see how exactly she fell for this guy, right? Because he just seems very kindred and sweet. And he is at one point is just like, how can we get you out of here? Like, you know, thinking like, oh, we need to get you out of here. We need to work with the system to get you on parole. She's like, do you mean it? And he's like, what? Well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean it. But like, what do you mean? She's like, I got an idea. July 15th, 1990. You're going to pull your car up outside on this street and I'll meet you there. And he's like,
pardon?
Sure.
That's not what I meant, ma'am.
No, I mean, sounds like you got a plan. That sounds good. Let's do it. So he does. She actually knows about a window that is a really small window that's in the laundry room of the jail. And so she goes in to do laundry late at night one night, and she's able to slip through this tiny window because she's a tiny human and makes it. And
what is happening in Milwaukee? Why is there a window in the laundry room that anyone could squeeze through? That seems like somebody didn't think that through. That seems like a very easy way to escape prison.
Yeah.
Feels
like I've seen Shawshank Redemption. It looked a whole lot more tricky than that.
It took years.
Yeah.
That's a movie I'll always watch whenever it's on.
Every time. Every time. Anyway, so she does sneak out and she meets him. He picks her up on the side of the road exactly like they planned. And they fucking hightail it to Canada. And it's on July 16th, the very next morning, that they decide to pull over, put some streamers and shit on the back of the car, a little just married sticker. And here they go off to Canada. And they make their way across the border. And they're like, just married, here for our honeymoon. And the officers are like, enjoy yourselves. Have a great time for your 2 weeks in Canada. And they stay in Canada for 3 months. And, you know, they're starting to run out of money. She ends up getting a job as a waitress in a local cafe, which seems weird to me now that I think about it, because I'm like, of the people to get a job, it feels like maybe he should get a job.
Right. The felon is the one who got the job.
That seems...
I mean, like, also, you're Americans. You're not there legally.
Right.
Did this diner ask no questions whatsoever? You've got, like, no paperwork. You got no identification.
She's getting paid under the table, probably.
What's happening?
Yeah. Service industry is real loosey-goosey, especially if you're going to go into, like, a family-owned place. They're comfortable with paying under the table. Also.
It's a diner. It's fine. Anyway, so they're in Thunder Bay. She's working as a waitress, and it's America's Most Wanted finally, you know, putting her face up. And even though she's colored her hair from blonde to brunette, it was not enough for one of the customers to not be like, that sure looks like that Bambi girl. The other thing I need to tell you about quote unquote Bambi is that when she escapes prison, this is a firestorm. The people of Milwaukee lose their shit. They are so not up in arms. They're not upset. They're not mad. They are so happy that this woman has escaped, because everyone in Milwaukee feels like she was done wrong. They think that she has gotten poorly served. They think that she was railroaded by the police. And they're like... So they make literal bumper stickers that say, "Run, Bambi, run." So there's bumper stickers on the back of cars all over Milwaukee. This becomes a national news story because of this. Because
you love to see it.
You'll love to see it. The people of that town were not fucking having it. They're like, these police have run amok well too fucking long, and it is high time that she gets hers. And so basically she probably could have been just living in Milwaukee, because the people of Milwaukee would have never turned her ass in. But it is somebody who was like, I watched America's Most Wanted the other night, and I do see this woman. So she does get turned on. And so it's the RCMP that pull up to her apartment, knock on her door, and take her in. But she is like, do not extradite me back to Milwaukee. I will never get a fair trial. So she petitions the Canadian government and is like, excuse me, I was railroaded. I will never get a fair trial. And the Canadian authorities literally look strongly into her position and are like, I don't know if we do feel comfortable letting you go back to the United States because it does feel like you got fucking railroaded and there's no way you'll have a fair trial if you go back there. So they work with the Milwaukee government, and Milwaukee's like, we just want to get this shit off our hands. And so they're like, if you send her back, we're just going to be, if she pleads to like a no contest, like, you know, murder, second degree murder kind of scenario, but she can never go back, and we're not going to apologize, but she's going to just time served. She's not going to serve any time for skipping out on jail. Her last day in jail was the day that she slipped out that window, basically. And she's like, I'll take it. I'll fucking take it, because her parents are getting older. They've spent so much money basically getting her out of jail, like doing all this stuff. They're getting older. They're getting ill. They need her, and she wants to be with them. And she's like, you know what? Fine. I'll say I did it. I'll never contest it if you just will let this go. Bygones be bygones, right? But that sucks, because now literally we have Christine Schultz, a mother of 2 children, who has been murdered, and we're never going to know. We're never going to know.
No, yeah, that murderer has gone free for sure.
So it's in the early 2000s, though, that, you know, one of our favorite people, the one and only Dr. Phil.
Oh, great.
Gets involved.
Love it when he enters the scene. Fantastic.
Dr. Phil gets involved, and DNA has become that in which, so they've had all this DNA evidence for so long, just sitting basically with nothing to do with it because they don't have the technology. Well, now they have the technology to test and see like what's going on with, you know, what's going on, you know, where are we at, who really did it. So it's a very expensive test, though. That's where Dr. Phil comes in. He's like, I will pay the $20,000 to get this test, but I want an exclusive story with you, Bambi, on my show. And you're going to come on here and we're going to read the results out. And she's like, sounds good. But they fly her to Los Angeles to do all this stuff, and they're going to film it and tape it and do all these things. But they don't want her to, you know, be attacked by news people. They don't want this to kind of blow up before they get the results and all this. So they sequester her in a hotel room, and they kind of lock her up. They have people like guarding her door and all this stuff. Well, this woman has been in jail. She was sequestered in jail. She was put in solitary confinement. She has incredible levels of PTSD, and she has an out of this world panic attack, ends up jumping out of the fucking second floor window of this place to escape this situation because of the scenario that they put her in. She ends up jumping out of this window, breaking her foot so fucking bad that they end up having to amputate her fucking foot.
Damn.
Isn't that fucking wild? And for everything that she's gone through, like, this woman is now like lost a foot for this. Like, it's just been, at any rate, at the end of the day, they do, I think, test the results, and they are able to find out that, I mean, there's no way she has a connection to this, is basically what they end up finding out. She does not do the interview. She does not do the Dr. Phil thing. In fact, she does try to sue Dr. Phil. I do believe she does get some kind of cash settlement, but the courts do let go like the criminal aspect of the court thing. It's all in all one of the saddest stories you'll ever hear, because it doesn't end, you know, well for her. She does end up developing quite a drug and alcohol addiction, in which she, you know, which eventually, I mean, imagine all the things that she's gone through, the PTSD. I'm sure she never got any support, you know, for that. And she's had to live with this burden of, you know, being Bambi, the, you know, playboy killer, you know.
Well, it's like your nightmare of like being accused of and convicted of a crime that you didn't commit. Yep. And you have all of this evidence that should be clear to anybody with half a brain that you weren't involved in it in any way, shape, or form, that it's a fucking dust up, a shakedown. And yeah, it's just...
You're absolutely right. This is my nightmare. It's probably why.
The point. Like, the point is that it's just like, it doesn't matter how clear the evidence is. People who are in positions of power are the ones who get to make these decisions. Right. And until we make like sweeping changes to the way things are done, that's kind of always the way it will be. It's just like, it's difficult, but it's a tale as old as time as far as we've seen, where it's just like, if the system wants you gone, you're gone. That's just the way it is.
I'll tell you why this is a tainted love, though. And you're talking about Fred Schultz, because that was her fucking husband at the time. And
let her take it.
I'm very familiar with this case, and I think that guy's shitty and involved. Yep. Yeah.
Yep. Well,
sure.
I mean, and honestly, the signs were there already. Like, look at the way his coworkers were treating his wife while he was married to her. And like the fact that he allowed that to continue in the first place and didn't stand up for his wife is a pretty good indicator that like of the kind of person that he is and his real feelings for her.
That's exactly
right.
So,
yeah. You know,
it all makes the whole thing very suspicious anyway. Like, it makes me wonder like if that relationship was always grounded and always meant to be leading up to that scenario.
Right. Why would you not think
fast.
it? Yeah, exactly. He married her fast, and maybe it was a quick solution that him and his buddies came up with to get her out of the way for getting the police department in trouble, and also his wife out of the way so that he didn't have to pay alimony anymore. Yeah. So,
well, there's a lot of speculation about this story. There's a lot involved with the story. There's not enough time in our podcast to cover this, and the proof is that there is actually a podcast coming out that's called Run Bambi Run. Don't love the name, but it does let people know exactly what the story is about if you're familiar with it. I don't love the name of it just because I think that I feel so strongly about her hating that moniker so much. But anyway, there are like 3 episodes out. They don't even get into the heft of the story yet. But I do believe that they're really going to try to do the deepest of deep dives. It's like I said, only like 2 episodes in. So
I'm going to listen to it for sure, because I've seen a lot of stuff about this story, and I've always had my suspicions that it's been Fred, the husband. That's always been my main suspicion. But I am interested in getting a more in-depth look at it, so I'll listen to the podcast for sure. I'm
also interested why it doesn't feel like many people have looked very deeply into her boyfriend,
right?
Who is also a cop. So it just feels like there's a lot of layers to the story. I would love to hear. I'm enjoyed the first 2 episodes so far. It is the reason I actually thought about doing this story, but I am excited to hear like the deep dive of it. So I will definitely be digging into that. So, sorry, the very longest of stories.
Yes,
I apologize.
Worth it for sure. What are you guys watching this week?
So I did finally start Bridgerton. I've watched the first episode of season 2, and it's exactly what I expected it to be. I'm not like, I don't know. People had a lot of takes on it, and again, I've only watched the first episode, but so far I'm like, yeah, this feels like the first season. It's fine. It's going to be entertaining and enjoyable, and it's going to be my nighttime watch for sure. I also just finished the last season of Call the Midwife. It's finally on Netflix.
Wow.
So did I watch all of it? I did. The only thing that I'm like kind of bummed about is I think they were filming during COVID. And so the season doesn't get like a resolution to it. I think they had to like stop filming kind of abruptly. So I'm hoping that they add more episodes soon. But if you love Call the Midwife, I mean, it's just a warm hug. Like, watching Call the Midwife feels like you're having a cup of tea. Like, it's just nice,
Yeah.
Well, I'm having the opposite of that. I had never actually heard of this show before until we found it on Hulu. It's a program from the History Channel. History in loose quotations at this point.
Aliens Channel, I think is what you mean.
It's called Alone.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. This fucking show takes a bunch of people, puts them on Vancouver Island where it's nothing but cold, rain, and predators. They drop these motherfuckers off by themselves with a sat phone, and they're like, see how long you can stay here.
Bye.
They fucking leave these people out here and they're like, by the way, last person out here gets $500,000.
Doesn't feel like enough.
You watch people legit starve themselves to like almost death. One person from the season we just watched had to get pulled because they were like, you are dying. And he's like, no, I'll eat more food. I'll eat more food. I promise, or whatever. He had lost 73 pounds, like almost half of his body weight.
And I was like, unethical. What's happening with our reality TV situation? We have got to stop it. We've got to stop it.
I'm like, is that where we're at in capitalism, where we basically have to compete in these like death games? And then
it's Hunger Games out here. It is Hunger Games level dystopia. Come on.
And what does it say about me that I'm sitting there with a Big Mac criticizing these motherfuckers like I can even do it? I'm like, what is this fucking guy doing? Not setting up his gill net on day fucking 1. This guy's like an idiot. Both Eric and I are like in it like we're fucking survival experts. It's wild. It is wild. I cannot. I've also heard that there's another show called Naked and Afraid, which I am going to check out
Naked and Afraid
as well.
See, that one I feel like has a collaboration element that I think I would enjoy because I think that they're together. Like it's a bunch of people together.
I think it's just 2.
But also, like, why would you go on that show? I can't think of anything I would want to do less than be naked in the wilderness. Where like listen, Christina, you're worried about like worms coming up through your feet. Yep. Like I am so concerned about anything going into any open hole because I'm naked.
Yeah. No, it's wild. And then they give them camera equipment, so they are truly alone. And you're watching people like on somebody made it to day 80 something by themselves, trying to survive and starving to death in the wilderness, and they just start saying all this bananas stuff. It's intense. So that's
hard.
That's where I'm at right now.
I cannot. I cannot.
Thank you.
What's wrong with me?
Woo. Well, you guys mostly heard what I was watching. Just Habdad mishmash of like weird dating shows.
There's so many though, and they're so bonkers.
Gosh, reality. Woof. Like you said, it really does say a lot about what people do.
Honestly, $500,000 is going to change your life. Can you stay out in the wilderness for 80 days?
On that, do you know how salty I would be if I survived something like that? And then you have the audacity, the government has the audacity to tax my prize money. I would get aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be so mad.
You're playing for 200,000, basically.
Yeah, that's not enough to do anything here in LA. I sent you that TikTok yesterday, Cassie, where I follow, and I'll have to look it up because it's wild. Every single day, someone gets on and they read out the most expensive and the least expensive listing that sold that day in Los Angeles. And the cheapest one that I've seen was $497,000.
Tear down.
And it was a tear down. It had fire damage, water damage, no windows, no structure. And we're talking like almost $500,000. That's the cheapest one I've seen on that. So loving it.
Wow. On that, I am so glad we now end this on such a happy note.
Exactly.
I feel really good about myself and my life.
How are we all doing? Anyway,
Happy 420.
Exactly. If you've got something we should watch or a book we should read, if you got a story you want to share with us about a terrible date, go to our one-stop shop of website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com. And we love you so much.
Cheers.